The fact that he can't see the flaw in his logic is absolutely maddening to me. It's as if he forgot what it meant to be Spider-Man. Across the Spider-Verse, great movie. After the first movie, my expectations were set quite high, I'd say. And this movie didn't fail to deliver. I gotta say, absolute banger. They're 2 for 2 right now. Seriously, I couldn't tell if I was watching a Hawkeye movie or a Spider-Man movie from the way this shit was not missing. All in all, it was a beautiful movie. A movie that came to a really thought-provoking climax when the movie presented us with its main conflict and moral dilemma, pitting Miles Morales against Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, and practically the entire Spider-Verse. So long story short, after getting back from Pervitter's universe, Miles, after having just saved their version of Captain Stacy, is told by a very angry Miguel that he just stopped a canon event. A canon event is something that has to happen to a Spider-Man for them to become Spider-Man. And almost all the time, these canon events are Spider-Man's experiencing loss. So basically, Uncle Ben. Miles, not seeing a problem with this since he saved a human life, doesn't see why Miguel is so angry. But Miguel goes on to tell him that canon events have to happen. No matter who that person may be that you think you have to save, that person has to die. And if said person doesn't die, or this canon event is messed with in a serious way, it can very well destroy an entire universe. And just a few mere moments after this, Miles finds out that he too very soon will have his own canon event involving the death of his own dad. As you would obviously expect, Miles is not okay with that idea and wants to save his father, preventing his canon event from happening. Whereas Miguel is in direct opposition to that idea. And unluckily for Miles, so is every Spider person that has ever existed, basically ever. Which results in this kind of intervention scene where they all try to talk Miles off of this ledge of trying to save his father. You see, Miles wants to just save his dad and prevent somebody that he loves from dying. But because his father's death is supposed to be a canon event and should and it has to happen, preventing that event from happening can destroy a universe. And in turn may destroy every other universe out there, essentially ending the Spider-Verse. So really what it boils down to is saving Miles' dad or letting Miles' dad die for the stability of the entire Spider-Verse. Look, I get it. When you're in a situation like that, you have to weigh the life of one versus the life of many. Or in this situation, the life of one against entire universes. And more often than not, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So that means more times than not, Jefferson's gotta take one for the team and hold his L. So yeah, the correct logical 1s and 0 binary what will lead to the most good decision would be to let Jefferson die. But that's the thing. Miguel and all the other Spider people who share in this line of thinking are all making the right decision. But I think they forgot to look in the mirror and look at the people who are actually making that decision. And the people making that decision may come in different shapes and sizes, but they are all at their core Spider-Man, a superhero who is not unlike many others, but is especially more so built on tragedy and loss. But in that tragedy and loss, learned with great power must also come great responsibility. A rule every Spider-Man or Spider-Person lives by. And if you just extend that rule, having great power and great responsibility doesn't mean that you have to save everyone. It means that because you have that power, you have the responsibility to try and save everyone. Something that I don't think anyone in this room besides Miles is actually actively trying to do. Look, I get life isn't fair, but just roll with me for a second. This entire situation is just so wildly unfair. I get it. Miles isn't being the most agreeable Spider-Man right now, but isn't that like a staple characteristic of every Spider-Man like ever? They're like all hard-headed and really determined. So with a lot of these Spider people, when they went through their loss, I'm pretty sure they weren't made aware of when and where it was going to happen, even giving them the option to try and stop it. But I'm almost completely sure if they were given the option or at least the chance to go back and stop it from happening, there'd be a lot more, if not all of them, looking at it from Miles's perspective. So it's kind of a dick move to just drop that on him and then just expect him to react like every veteran Spider-Man in the room and just let his father die. Imagine you yourself knowing that your mother or father is going to die, knowing the exact date, time, and location it's going to go down, and you having the power to actually stop it or do something about it. Although it isn't literally murdering them, it must just feel like it is by letting them die. Miles even makes this point when he calls out the Peter Parker that mentored him.
Okay, what about Uncle Ben? That'd have been okay if you knew and you just let it play out?
A question that on face value should elicit an automatic no, something I'm sure everybody in that room can empathize with. Just like every Spider person losing their equivalent to an Uncle Ben, another universal constant for any Spider person out there is that they are going to go through loss. Specifically the loss of someone they could not save, or tried to and ended up failing. But that's the key right there. Even though they failed, they still ended up trying. Seeing this many Peter Parkers or Gwen Stacy's or Ben Reilly's or whoever is under these masks just be so resigned with the fact that a person is going to die and they can all stop it from happening, but they won't, is just so disheartening. An undertone of this movie, wait, I really even shouldn't say undertone, it's more of like the only tone of this movie, is Miles writing his own story and being his own Spider-Man. And I gotta be honest right now, he's the only person who feels like Spider-Man right now. Hopefully in the third part, everybody else can come around and see what Miles is seeing and know that you have to try, not just let something happen. I just think that would be really cool, but I only hope that happens after we get Miles versus Miguel round 2, because man, that was sweet. Anyways, till next time guys, peace.